Welcome to 8bitOrc, where today we'll be looking at the top 10 PlayStation games of all time. This list, of course, are my own personal favorites, and I haven't been able to play every single PlayStation game. If you feel like there's any games that I've missed, please let me know in the comments down below. I've only considered PlayStation exclusives for this list, although some of these games did end up coming to different platforms over time. Straight multi-platform games were not considered. I've also limited it to one game from any individual series, just because I don't want this list to be full of just a few IPs, which is honestly very likely. Coming in at number 10, the first game on my list is Journey. This game blew me away in 2012 when it was released for the PlayStation 3. The game's unique visual style and amazing music, combined with fluid and fun controls, it's easy to pick up and play. The seamless multiplayer, which allows you to discover other players along your journey and assist each other while only being able to communicate through chirps and body language. This game can be completed in a single session, which is becoming more of a feature nowadays, as time is harder to come by. I used to consider any game that couldn't keep me occupied for 6 months a ripoff as a child. Journey has many puzzles to solve and an interesting story that unravels as you explore the world. It is now available on many platforms, including PC, iOS, and even a PS4 remaster, which is the source of the footage you're seeing now. At 9th position on my list, we have Shadow of the Colossus. This game came to the PlayStation 2 in 2005 and blew me away with the grand scale of its world. The immense size of the landscape made me feel really small while exploring these giant ancient ruins. I originally played the game on a 30-inch CRT and loved it, but going back recently and playing the 2017 PlayStation 4 remaster on a big modern OLED gave me a whole new appreciation of the game and the scale of the world that's been taken to the next level. Shadow of the Colossus has simple gameplay mechanics which are easy to learn. Every battle with a Colossus is another puzzle to solve and a thrill to experience. The story is deep and engrossing and is remembered by those who have played through to the end. I would definitely recommend revisiting this remastered version of the game, as the hardware available today has made this game even better. It is truly wonderful that younger gamers will be able to experience this classic with the remastered visuals you're seeing now. Blasting in at number 8, we have Super Stardust Delta for the PlayStation Vita. Releasing in 2012, this was the perfect launch game for the portable system. I've used game capture from the PS4 version of this game, as I don't have any great way to capture images from the PlayStation Vita. Super Stardust is the kind of game you can pick up and play for short sessions and have a lot of fun, but I would often find myself spending hours on this game due to its incredibly addictive gameplay, searching for the next high score. This arcade-style twin-stick shooter looks great on the Vita screen. Honestly, the small screen makes it easy to keep track of objects flying your way. You can find versions of this game on the PlayStation 3 with Super Stardust HD, as well as on the PlayStation 4 with Super Stardust Ultra. All these games look and play very similar to one another, and are worth trying any iteration you can get your hands on. The Vita version does have some exclusive modes, and the arcade style suits itself perfectly to a portable system. This game was so great and addictive, it was responsible for me missing my subway stop more than once, earning it a spot on my list.
Shields off.
Next up, sneaking its way into 7th position, we have Metal Gear Solid. This game was released for the original PlayStation in 1998. At the time I was a Nintendo fanboy, and this game helped me realize that one video game platform would not be enough. Trying to explain to my parents why I needed a PlayStation after begging for an N64 last Christmas was a hard sell. This was the first time we played a game with such a large, elaborate backstory and incredible voice acting. This game was Hideo Kojima at his best. Many a generation were introduced to wonderful mind of Kojima with Metal Gear Solid and its complex story crafting that he's now famous for. This game also introduced some of the most amazing, unconventional allies and enemies in gaming history. Metal Gear Solid has led to multiple sequels, many of which could easily take a spot on anyone's top 10, but I find myself having a special place in my heart for the first game I played in the series, the one that began it all. Did I mention iconic lines? Oh yeah, iconic lines. Slashing its way in at number 6, we have Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls is a game that I first tried in 2009 on the PlayStation 3, and thought to myself, this game is just stupid, and regretted ever purchasing it. It wasn't until years later, as a game tester, where I sat down and told to play Dark Souls 3. Funny thing was, it was for a different company, with no relation to FromSoft. I guess they were thinking of making a similar game, and wanted to get people's reactions. I was required to sit down and play for 6 hours each day. It took hours to finally beat the first boss, but I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. Without the loot boxes, EA, geez. This game's punishing gameplay and complex level design was a bit of an acquired taste for me. But once it clicked, it really clicked. Since that day, I've become a huge fan of FromSoft games. I eventually went back and really started to appreciate Demon's Souls and other games from the Soulsborne series. At this point, I'm hyped to play any game made by the genius mind of Miyazaki. If you're lucky enough to have a PS5, you can play a remastered version of Demon's Souls, released in 2020. I don't know why it's so hard to say Demon's Souls. I guess I've just been calling it Demon's Souls for far too long. This remaster is very faithful to the original, with a few quality of life improvements. It's one of the best looking games I've ever seen to this day, and the reason I felt the need to pre-order the PS5. Very glad I didn't hesitate in retrospect. Now entering the final 5 games on our list, we have Final Fantasy VII. That's right, 7, not 5. That would be convenient, but no, it's Final Fantasy VII. This game was released for the original PlayStation in 1997. And as a Nintendo fanboy, I was devastated that Square Enix had abandoned Nintendo and gone with Sony's new console. At the time of release, these cutscenes were next level, and the gameplay was turn-based RPG combat at its best. It paved the way for the JRPG genre in the transition from 2D to 3D, and created characters that are fondly remembered to this day. There was a remake made in 2020, however this is a very different game, not just a coat of paint, and is not a substitute for the original. Thankfully over the years, Final Fantasy VII has been released on all major platforms, and even the iOS and Android version, but I would definitely recommend playing it with a proper controller if you can. Coming in at number 4, we have Bloodborne. Another game from Miyazaki, released in 2015 for the PlayStation 4. This is another game that I skipped on its first release, only to realize that I was missing something big. This dark, bloody world is all too familiar to those who love other Souls games, but fresh enough to keep things interesting and feeling new. Bloodborne takes some of the best parts of the design from earlier FromSoft games, while introducing a new gritty world and time to explore. Bloodborne also has some of the most badass boss fights to be found in any game. As of the release of this video, there have been rumors of a PC release, but nothing had come to fruition. The PS4 is the only way to play this game. Or through the PlayStation 5 through backwards compatibility, which is the source of the footage you're seeing now, of course. Dropping into our number 3 spot, we have Uncharted. Brought to us by the masters of action-adventure games Naughty Dog, in 2007 for the PlayStation 3. Uncharted instantly hooked me with its globe-trotting adventure, finding hidden maps and treasure. Uncharted is kind of like the Indiana Jones game we always wanted but never got. What really sticks out for me is this game's exquisitely voiced motion capture characters.
I had everything under control until they blew up the boat. You alright?
Nothing that years of therapy won't fix.
Uncharted combined an amazing story with well-crafted platforming and third-person shooting, setting a new bar for the genre. Uncharted was also the first game to ever get me to put in the effort for a platinum trophy, which is a rare feat for me. While the series has continued, with multiple great sequels, it can be argued that other games in the series have improved upon the original's gameplay and graphics. I still prefer the chemistry of the original trio, Nathan, Lena, and Sullivan, that made me fall in love with the series. There's nothing quite like your first love. All 3 of the original PlayStation 3 Uncharted games can be found in a remastered version for the PlayStation 4, which is the footage you're seeing now. Definitely pick up this collection if you somehow missed this series, or want to revisit some old friends. Coming in at number 2, we have God of War. God of War was released in 2018 for the PlayStation 4. This is undoubtedly one of the best games ever made for any platform. Continuing from its roots, filled with visceral hand-to-hand combat and a variety of devastating weapons, God of War was able to make the jump from Greek mythology to Norse with the kind of grace I didn't think possible. The characters and story are deeper and more engrossing than ever before. The voice acting and motion capture in this game are award-winning, and to this day it is one of the best looking games out there. The music, which was recorded using a full orchestra, gives me shivers down my spine when I hear it. At the time of this recording, they've recently announced that God of War will be coming to PC as well. I was really close to giving this number 1 spot on my list, but at the end of the day, there can only be one on top. At the number 1 spot, we have, of course, The Last of Us. The Last of Us was released on the PlayStation 3 in 2013. In my opinion, it is the best game ever made, period. This game came out near the end of the 7th generation of consoles, and was a swan song for the PlayStation 3. It exemplified how much power the PlayStation 3 had when it was in the hands of the right game designers. It really is an incredible feat to have a game that looks this good on a system from 2006. I'll now switch over to the PlayStation 4 remaster, which does look better, but not by much. In The Last of Us, you're immersed in a dystopian post-apocalyptic concrete jungle. This end-of-the-world imagining was in its own way beautiful, and it is the best story I've ever experienced in a video game to date. The scarcity in the world makes every bullet feel important, and it leaves you always feeling short on supplies, and really adds to the atmosphere, along with some top-notch motion capture and voice acting found in other Naughty Dog games like Uncharted before it.
What are you doing?
Killing time.
Well, what am I supposed to do?
I am sure you will figure that out.
This game is amazing in many ways. The big reason this game earned my top spot is that the story had me caring about the characters more than any other game I've ever played. The intro sequence alone has me on the brink of crying every time I play it. It pulls you in and keeps you invested in the characters and the story the whole way through. The Last of Us was released in a remastered state on the PlayStation 4, making it look even better than the original, if you're unfortunate enough not to have played it through already.
Not bad.
So there it is, my top 10 PlayStation games of all time. I hope you enjoyed this list and perhaps found a few games you haven't tried before. I plan on making other top 10 lists, as well as other gaming related content, so please subscribe so you can be notified when they go live. Thanks again, and see you guys next time.